Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on hidden mechanics in Bloons Tower Defense 6. Today we shall explore the obscure, the obtuse, and the borderline ritualistic elements of this game that the developers seemingly hid just to see how much suffering the human mind can endure. The first slide in our journey through the esoteric involves the Vengeful True Sun God, or VTSG, for those of you who find syllables to be a personal burden. This is the ultimate expression of monkey power, yet it remains a mystery to the casual observer because Ninja Kiwi decided that there can only be one was a sufficient tutorial. To summon this dark deity, you must possess the appropriate monkey knowledge and navigate a sacrifice ritual that is more complex than most tax returns. You need 50,000 cash in 3 tower categories for the Tier 4 temple, followed by 50,000 in all 4 categories for the Tier 5 upgrade. If you accidentally leave the anti-Bloon or the Legend of the Night inside the sacrifice radius, you have just wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars on a standard sun god, a failure that is frankly quite embarrassing to witness. This tower is essential for free play, but its existence renders every other strategy obsolete, making the late game a monotonous exercise in watching a giant golden head turn into a dark, edgy avatar of doom. Moving from the mechanical to the purely cosmetic, we have Adora's temple transformation. This is what happens when the developers decide that a secret tower isn't secret enough and decide to tie it to a specific hero on a specific map. If you manage to summon a Vengeful True Sun God while a level 20 Adora is standing nearby on the Adora's temple map, the environment undergoes a psychic breakdown. The stones darken, the water turns a deep crimson red, and the entire map begins to look like a cover of a bad metal album. It provides zero mechanical benefit, but it serves as a visual reminder that you have reached the pinnacle of Bloons optimization. Most players will never see this because they lack the discipline to reach level 20 Adora while simultaneously funding a VTSG, but for the tryhards among us, it is a quintessential badge of honor. It is a lore-heavy Easter egg that suggests Adora has some unresolved issues with the vengeful energy, or perhaps she just prefers a more aggressive interior design for her workspace. On the map Frozen Over, there is a primate trapped in a block of ice, likely a victim of his own poor life choices or perhaps a primitive version of a modern-day streamer. While most of you likely viewed this as static background art, a few individuals with too much time on their hands and a mortar monkey discovered the truth. If you target that specific block of ice with approximately 30 mortar shells, the ice shatters to reveal the Cave Monkey. He is a free unit wielding a club with the enthusiasm of someone who hasn't seen the sun in several millennia. He functions similarly to a level 1 Pat Fusty, delivering stuns that can be quite useful in the early game. However, he cannot be moved, upgraded, or sold, making him a permanent, primitive fixture of your defense. It is a hidden interaction that requires the player to ignore the actual Bloons for a moment and focus on the scenery, which is a level of curiosity I rarely see in the average public lobby. We have now come to the Sword in the Stone on the Ravine map, a mechanic that is less of a secret and more of a mandatory survival tactic. This is an expert level map that is quite literally impossible to beat on Chimp's difficulty without using this interaction. You must click the sword embedded in the rock 24 times, a count that is apparently too high for the average player to track without losing focus. Once launched, the sword seeks out the strongest Bloon on screen and deletes it, providing just enough relief to survive the early rounds. It is an egregious example of map design where a hidden, click-based mechanic is the only thing standing between victory and soul-crushing defeat on round 7. The fact that you have to tap a rock 24 times to progress in a strategy game is a bizarre choice, but it separates those who read the wiki from those who fail repeatedly and blame the game balance. It is a test of patience and your ability to count to 24, two things that are surprisingly rare in the community. The map Encrypted contains a secret so complex it took the community years to fully decipher the sequence, which is a testament to the fact that some people have far too much free time. By placing a Tier 4 tower from each category, primary, military, magic, and support onto the 4 graves surrounding the central altar and using their abilities in a specific order, you can summon a skeletal entity known as Merkel. However, you also need to place a super monkey on the altar and then upgrade it to a sun temple, then sell the sun temple, and finally it will become Merkel for the rest of the game. This hidden tower deals damage and hooks Bloons, acting as a temporary spectral reinforcement for your defense. It is a hidden ritual that mirrors the Sun Temple sacrifice, but with a dark twist. The developers teased this for years and watched the community struggle to solve it, but they did eventually figure it out. It is a mechanic that exists solely for the tryhards who want to feel superior for knowing a secret that has zero impact on the actual meta, yet they will defend its importance until the heat death of the universe. At this point in our presentation, I must address the elephant in the room. You are currently learning about hidden mechanics that 99% of the player base will never understand. This puts you in a dangerous position. You are on the verge of becoming a tryhard. To prove that you're capable of handling this burden of knowledge and that you aren't just another mindless consumer of content, I suggest you subscribe to this channel and leave a comment explaining which of these mechanics you already knew. On the Flooded Valley map, there is a hidden transaction that allows you to fundamentally alter the geography of the battlefield. By clicking the panels on the dam 5 times to reveal the buttons and then pressing them in a specific sequence, you are given the option to pay $5,000 to flood the valley. This is a psychological warfare tactic against your own land-based towers, as it will sell everything that cannot swim, with the exception of sun temples, because apparently even water fears the sun god. It's a hidden mechanic that requires a financial investment and a specific sequence of actions, making it a quintessential pro move. Most casual players just look at the dam and wonder why they can't place their tack shooter on it, while the intellectuals are busy preparing the $5,000 required to drown their problems. It's a drastic solution to a difficult map, and it's quite satisfying to watch the water reclaim the land. If you find the Spa Pits map to be too relaxing, the developers have included a hidden way to ruin your day. By clicking the rocks near the entrance in an order determined by the number of claw marks on them, you're prompted to make the map heaps harder. Accepting this invitation transforms the Serene Spa into the Tar Pits, a map so notoriously difficult it originally appeared in the previous game as an extreme challenge. The water turns to tar, any existing water towers are sold, and the single lane splits into 5 extremely short paths. It's an affront to human progress that anyone would choose to do this to themselves, especially since it offers no additional rewards. It is the ultimate try-hard mechanic, a way to prove that you are better than the game by making the game actively hate you. The visual transition is impressive, but the sudden increase in blood pressure, less so. It's a secret that exists solely for those who find beginner maps to be an insult to their intelligence. Now we must discuss the invisible numbers that govern the most powerful towers in the game, the Paragons. When you create a Paragon, you are given a degree from 1 to 100, but the game refuses to tell you how that number is calculated. It's a hidden system of power values that considers 4 separate metrics: Tier 5 sacrifices, non-Tier 5 upgrades, cash spent, and total pops. Each Tier 5 sacrificed adds 6,000 power up to a cap, but every 180 pops adds 1 power up to a massive 90,000 power requirement for the maximum degree. Achieving a degree 100 Paragon in a single player game is mathematically impossible without using Geraldo's totems, a fact that seems to frustrate those who refuse to use the shopkeeper hero. It's a complex invisible math problem that rewards the player for efficiency, but punishes them with a lack of transparency. Watching players try to guess their Paragon degree is like watching someone try to bake a cake without a measuring cup. The results are usually a mess. The banana farmer is a simple creature with a simple purpose, but he has a hidden talent that the developers failed to mention in his resume. He has a secret synergy with the engineer monkey's Bloon trap. While his description focuses entirely on bananas, he will actually reach out and collect full traps automatically if he is placed within range. This allows for a completely hands-free income generation strategy from your engineers, a convenience that is essential for long-form games. This is a carryover mechanic from previous entries in the series, yet many modern players remain unaware of it. They spend their time manually clicking traps like peasants, while the informed players let their farmer do all the manual labor. It's a minor interaction, but it is a quintessential example of how the game rewards those who pay attention to the subtle overlaps between different towers and powers. It makes the farmer one of the most versatile tools in the game, provided you have the foresight to use him for more than just fruit. Most of you feel a sense of accomplishment when you reach round 100, which is cute. However, the true pros are aware of what happens at round 10,000. This is the game's unofficial kill screen, a point where the random generation of free play rounds stops and a specific scripted nightmare begins. At round 10,000, the game spawns exactly 200 fortified bads, a wave of blimps so dense it would likely melt the processor of a standard laptop or blow your phone up. If you somehow manage to survive this, the following rounds spawn massive clusters of thousands of ceramics before looping back to the bad cycle. It is a durability test for your computer and your phone as much as it is your strategy. Reaching this point is practically impossible in a standard game. It requires hours of idling and a defense that is so optimized it borders on the divine. It's a hidden ceiling that reminds us no matter how good your defense is, the game eventually loses its mind and tries to crash your hardware as a final act of defiance. Returning to the realm of map mechanics for the unobservant, we have the Lotus Island Stun. Scattered throughout the water on the Lotus Island map are various flowers that look like simple background decorations. However, if you click on them, they bloom. Once bloomed, they function as a stun trap for any bloon that passes over them. It has a 3-minute cooldown before it can be used again. It's a small tactical advantage, but it can help you survive, and most people probably know this one, but I just thought I should throw it in here. After all, I have to help those of you who have no situational awareness whatsoever. On the Scrapyard map, there is a massive piece of hydraulic machinery sitting on the track. This is the compressor, and unlike most map elements, it has an active ability. You don't find this ability on the sidebar with your towers, you have to click the machine itself to activate it. When triggered, it crushes everything beneath it with infinite pierce, making it an absolute monster against dense ceramic rushes. It has a 60-second cooldown, which means it requires actual timing and thought to use effectively. This mechanic is so powerful it's actually required for the famous Geraldo One Tower Chimps challenge on this map. It's a hidden weapon most players overlook because it doesn't have a monkey face on it. Using the map's environment as a weapon is a sign of a high-level player, while ignoring it is a sign that you should probably stick to the beginner maps where the scenery doesn't require any brain activity. You now possess more knowledge than the average player, which is a low bar, but a victory nonetheless. Thanks for watching, and subscribe.